Welcome to the All Worn Out Podcast. On the show today, it's David Langille, aka Dawg, of the Dawg and Gus Podcast. Yeah. So, hi everybody. We are joined by Dawg, David Langille. He is of the Dawg and Gus podcast, and a while ago I had the chance to be your guest.
You did.
And you guys were so professional, so friendly, awesome, welcoming, and it did not take long for the entire music scene here in Ottawa to find out about you, and they're loving you guys.
Well, thanks very much. That was the goal.
I mean,
Actually, not at the beginning, but it's a goal now.
yeah, they brought you guys. I see you're emceeing events, and I've also seen that now there is the Dawg and Gus presenting events as well.
Yes, we started that. We have one in August, the 17th, at Big Rig Brewery out in Canada.
That sounds very exciting. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to work with you guys in that capacity.
Oh, we could, yeah. If Gus has his way, we'll be doing these every 3 months or so, a couple of months. We're not like Mr. Brad Lake and doing them every weekend, but we're gonna, we'll see where it goes. We'll do this first one and see how it goes, and then we'll go from there.
You see, you're more connected in this music community than even I am, I believe, because like Brad and I know who he is, but our paths haven't crossed in the working capacity. I don't believe for a while. I'm not sure if it has, but that's just how cool our music community is. It's very diverse because I believe Brad gets into the heavy stuff.
He does.
And I'm a fan of it. It's just not for me because I suck when I sing metal or anything like that.
I suck when I sing, period. But anyway.
Well, there's a question is, so I asked Cliff this, so I'll ask this to you. Where were you born?
Right here in Ottawa.
Okay, so you're an Ottawa boy.
Well, I haven't lived here my whole life. My dad was in the military, so I moved around a bit. So I was born in Ottawa, moved to Germany, moved to Alberta, and then back to Ottawa. So
Okay, so you're well-traveled.
yeah, well traveled. Yeah, Gus says it doesn't count that I was in Germany when I was 4. He says that doesn't count as travel.
Oh, it counts.
I disagree. So
It counts because I have memories when I was 4, and like I was married when I was 4. I remember she was important to me.
yeah, there you go. See, there you go. Good
She
memories.
showed up to kindergarten every day. So did I, and we went straight to the kitchen, and it was good times. You know,
Yeah.
that's as close as I've ever gotten to being married.
I got
real.
closer, and then I didn't.
Hear that, ladies? Just try and catch us, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Just try.
Do your best.
Okay, so your dad was a military guy. Was he strict?
Yeah, he was the kind of, it was like that was their generation, right?
So rock music, did that kind of just go hand in hand then with you?
No. I grew up listening to the man behind me here on the wall, Johnny Cash. My dad used to play all the old country, Cash, Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard. And that's what I grew up to a point listening to until I'd say I was maybe 12.
Your dad was a kind of a badass. Like his music
He
selection.
liked the outlaw. He liked the outlaw country. Yeah, he did.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's what I was.
And then Mom was more like the softer side of country and Elvis and that stuff. I didn't get my first indoctrination into rock music till we lived in Alberta. And you remember the Bay City Rollers?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The girls were crazy for the Bay City Rollers, and if you wanted to get with the girls, you had to pretend you liked the Bay City Rollers. I did it for a time, and then I was like, there's got to be something else. And then I found Alice Cooper, and then, of course, my favorite band, if you listen to our podcast, April Wine, back in when I was like 12.
Well, April Wine's a pretty special band. I've shared it with my friend who runs a podcast down in North Carolina.
Right.
And he loves rock music like Kiss and all that. But he said like I've heard of April Wine, but I never really listened to it. And so I was like, that's enough. We're going to do an episode about April Wine. And so he got down and listened to it, and he really loved it. He was like, that's amazing. So that's cool. I mean, they just lost
Miles Goodwin.
Miles Goodwin, who was a really cool guy. I mean, he answered my Facebook message.
Did he?
Yeah, years ago. He wouldn't tell me how to write a love song, though. I that was my last question to him.
He's not going to give away his secrets.
Yeah, I said, will you just maybe tell me how to write a ballad just once? And then that's it. You know, hands off.
They got really, really lumped into that ballad, 80s ballad type group, right? But if you listen to the older stuff, they're strictly rock and roll, man. That stuff is amazing. And then they kind of went into it's all love ballads now.
I think the love ballads made money, and I think they pierced through on American radio.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Whereas their rock stuff had a harder time. But I mean, I guess back then it was hard to pierce through because of competition. It was so.
Well, I think a lot is because we're Canadian and we're not as aggressive about how talented we are and how much talent we have in this country or even in this city. That we're not going, hey, you need to listen to us. We're really good. They're kind of like, oh yeah, we're okay.
It's true.
You know what I mean? It's like if we can get that bravado without being arrogant about it and say, listen, man, we are really good at this. There's so many bands. Like in this city alone, the talent level in this city is incredible. And it doesn't matter what genre we're talking about. Amazing. We got a lot, and I'm learning more every day.
It's very true. And it's something that I've seen different organizations come up in the last 5-7 years. I'd include you guys as one of them, as people who come in and are helping the scene to grow. And they're doing it very selflessly. I would say even Mike, yes, there's fees and things like this, but I've seen them help various bands. They helped Taming Sorry once years ago, which I will always be very appreciative of. And that's another thing, is the scene. It needs that help. It needs support. If you have friends, don't think that they're fine, that they don't need you to give them a like, that they don't need you, that they're in some other world. They're in the same world as you, and they need your help.
Yep. Well, it's funny because we talk about that too. It's like, it goes past going to see them at the shows. You don't have to pay to help these bands. Like them on the socials, talk to them, share them to your friends, let other friends know about these bands. I'm telling everybody. If I hear a new band, when I heard you guys, I was telling everybody, you guys got to listen to this band. And it's $0 to say, hey man, follow Taming Sorry, follow Sunday Riot Club, follow Winter. These guys are amazing. They work hard at what they do. Give them some love.
I told Cliff yesterday, I've booked Ryan and I've booked Mr. Mayhew. Oh. So we will have some Sunday Riot Club and some Winter inside All Worn Out.
I figured you would.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many great bands. I've reached out to Claude from the Peptides. Nice. I've reached out to various people who I think the calendar's filling up. We'll put it that way. Tomorrow is Rohan. You know Rohan.
I do know Rohan. He's an amazing young man.
Yeah, he's very passionate and very talented.
And he's another one that he's always like commenting on the media, always like liking your stories, liking your streams, and he gets it.
He's very supportive.
He understands that this is where it starts. You know what? Oh, this Rohan guy, he's doing a lot. Well, who's he? Check him out. And then all of a sudden you realize he's in an amazing band, a young and up and coming band, and he's a very smart kid. Like I say kid because I'm old.
He is. He is very young. Yeah. I met him when I think he was 15 or 16, and I went over there and chatted with Suhas and his mom, and like I was so impressed with his maturity, and I knew that in a couple of years he'd start knocking on doors. So I'm excited to talk to him.
Oh, it'll be a great talk. You guys will have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he's got a fierce voice as well. He can do the metal stuff that I struggle with a bit. But
Yeah, you both have your niche. I mean, he's got his, and you've got yours, and it works. And I don't think you should push it to try and do something that you're not comfortable with. And he'll stay out of your lane, you stay out of his.
Well,
as much as you can.
Yeah, the thing is I think people have to take turns in the spotlight, and especially in a small community or a smaller community, because to be honest, nobody has the money or the content to dominate the airwaves or anything like that. I mean, I could get into how expensive that is and how difficult that is, but people just don't care. They just want to enjoy their music. They want to be happy, and I get that. So Taming Sorry gave me gifts years ago, which was like a sold out show, which I maybe had only experienced twice before with my other bands. And that, you know, we had these people who started coming to see us everywhere. And then these people were already supporting Civilian.
Yeah.
And so once they started supporting us, it became a multi-band support system. And so I've always given Cliff from Civilian all the props for helping to build this music scene to what it is with his cohorts. But yeah.
Well, they're another band that kind of, you go to a show, you'll see guys from that band there. You'll see guys from other bands there as well, right? The support is mutual, and you see them out at all the shows. Like, not all the shows, because who can afford that, right? But they try, and they do support each other. And it's not, I haven't seen any of this, you know, we're not going to go see them because they're in contest with us. It's like, no, it's like another band that you're trying to help out here, you know? And it's just, the support is very important. I never seen somebody so excited when we show up for a show and they're like, man, I'm glad you're here. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's important to me. Like, to me, I'm just out to help support. But the bands are like, oh, this is so great that you're here. I'm like,
it's a big
thank
deal.
you.
It's a big deal to people. I know because I've played the Rainbow with one person in it, my dad, and I've played it with two people in it, my dad and my cousin. And I played it sold out.
Yeah.
So I know everything in between, and it's not easy. A lot of bands have to be patient. A lot of bands have to figure out what they're doing wrong, because most bands can improve things. Almost all bands can improve things.
Yep.
And they want results. They want this. Most bands want the same results. For example, Canadian Music Week. A lot of bands apply, 500 to 1,000 bands apply, and they can only take so many. The same for Blues Fest. I applied to Blues Fest 12 times before I got in. So that's 12 years.
Yeah.
And I never got flustered or frustrated because everyone is working so hard, and you have to recognize that the people who are putting in the most work, investing the most time, the most money, they should go first. And that's just the way it works. But goodness, the community itself, I think it's guys like Trevor, Kylie, Connor, Kyle. I can go on. Laura Collins, who started doing stuff with the podcast on Rebel many years ago now. Yeah, there's a lot of scene builders who have been going quietly about their business. And one of the best ways you can build the scene is be a kick-ass band.
Yep.
Yeah, get other cities to notice you. And that's what I see with Civilian. They went down to the States. I see that with Sunday Riot Club. They're going to Quebec City and places like that. Yep. And when you do that, you do Ottawa proud, and you do yourself justice, and you prove that you're a real band.
Yeah. We're just waiting, like I've said many times, we're waiting for that one band in Ottawa to break the ceiling, to shatter the ceiling here, and to make people realize, hey, Ottawa's got some serious talent, and I think there's a few here that could, and I'd love to see every one of them do it.
Yeah, it's like, for example, I think Daniel Allard has had a lot of success on Twitch. And I think the online platform in general is going to have to be the way to do it, because let's face it, Toronto, there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on, and they try and pride themselves at doing it at a very high level. And when we were at Canadian Music Week last year, we played with a band from Los Angeles, and they had paid their money to fly out and everything like that, and they were awesome, like top notch band. And again, I haven't heard about them or seen them skyrocket anywhere. I think that's a very difficult thing to do. Who's the last band to do it? They're from Coburg. Goodness me. They're a duo. Cleopatra. So Cleopatra did this pre-COVID, where they blew up on Spotify, and now they had tours in Germany and tours everywhere else. And they were just a couple guys from Coburg. They went to Peterborough for something, I think college or something like that. And yeah, so it's hard to do. If you look at Alanis, if you look at all those people, they kind of left. They went. And
they did.
They had to go somewhere else. Bryan Adams, he's the guy who was playing here in Ottawa, and my story that I heard was he got into the basement with these guys from the Ottawa high school that he was attending, and after a week he said, "Yeah, I don't think you guys are serious," and he moved on. And it was like a couple of years later, and he was.
Yeah, it depends, right? Like sometimes it's just timing.
Yes, timing.
And sometimes, like these overnight successes that have been doing it for 15 years. Oh my God, these guys are on. Yeah, they've been around the scene for 15 years. So there's no such thing as overnight success. And people who think that, hey, I'm going to put out a single, it's going to blow up, and we're going to be famous. You're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, there's 60,000 plus new songs a day on Spotify. So yeah, and the songs that do well there, they're being promoted in some capacity. Either they have a record label or a connection to these big playlists.
Yeah.
And I worked to try and find our way onto some, and it's very difficult, very, very difficult. But music is so rewarding. The best part about it is meeting people like you, meeting people like Kyle and Kylie and Connor and Trevor and that whole crew, which kind of just keeps getting bigger. And those guys have nothing but love in them, which is also I really adore. Yeah. And I sense that about you and Gus as well, that you just have a lot of support and care for the bands that you're helping.
Well, it didn't start out that way, though. Like, we weren't thinking that when we first started. We were just going to do a podcast talking about music because back before the pandemic, well, when the pandemic first started, I had to do something. So I bought myself a $100 podcast kit, and I was just doing podcasts on my own. Just, playing a bunch of songs and putting them up for people to listen to and stuff. I did one for friends of mine who were supposed to get married during the pandemic, but didn't happen, obviously, because of the restrictions and stuff. So I made a 4-hour playlist of just pretending we were at a wedding, and I put it up for them. And I did one for a friend who turned me on to a whole bunch of different styles of music, who had passed away from ALS, and I did that in tribute to him. And his wife was just like, "Oh my God, you just made me cry," because just the stuff I was playing was the stuff I remember him teaching me about, because that's where I learned music from others. I have mine that I listen to, but it's like, "Hey, Dave, listen to this." Okay. Oh, that's great. And I kind of deep dive into that and keep going, right? But Mike did this for me, so I did that. And then when the restrictions started to lift, Gus, we met up with another friend at the Saint Laurent Shopping Center. And I said, "You know what? I want to do a radio show. Like, I'm going to do an internet radio show." And he looked at me and he goes, "Why don't we do a podcast?" And I stupidly said, "About what?" And he looked at me like I was an idiot. He goes, "Music." And I said, because we had always talked a lot when we went golfing. We went on a golf weekend every year. And music would always come up because everybody would talk about music. But we had a lot in common. And he's younger. Gus is 17 years younger than me. But his interests were aligned a lot because he has older siblings.
He wears those glasses to try and look older, maybe.
Yeah, it's not working for you. No, he's 17 years. So anyway, so we started off. We did a few episodes, and they're okay. Like, we talked about this, we talked about that. Who's the greatest drummer in the world? Boom. Let's talk an hour on that. We talked about one-hit wonders. Boom. And then Mark Leo from Mecca of Stank sent us a message. I don't even know how he heard of us. He goes, "Do you guys do interviews?" And we kind of looked at each other and went, "Yeah, sure." And that's how it started with Mark. Mark came on, and it was such a good vibe. It was like, okay. And then we kind of just snowballed from there to where we are now.
That's very cool. How many interviews do you think you've done now?
We're up, if we look at our Spotify, we're up to 100 and almost 120.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of that. So, and it's been amazing, the amazing people that we've met, like yourself and Alex from Tammy Sari, from the boys from Winter, SRC, to the folks that we're having on our bill in August. Christine St. Pierre, an amazing talent in this city, beautiful voice and a beautiful person. James LeClaire, another kind of, he likes his Bob Dylan and his Steve Earle kind of ties, and he's an amazing guy as well. Parliament of Owls, Wade, he's an amazing guy as well, and he's going to be a lot of fun to do with. And then Sarah Church is not from Ottawa; she's from up around Timmins, I think. But we saw her. We actually did her show the same day we did the one for Evil Creek. We hosted 2 shows in one day because we got it all mixed up and double booked ourselves, but the timing worked out where we did the show with Evil Creek out in front of the Brass Monkey. It was an outdoor show. And then we scooted downtown to live on Elgin to do Sarah's show. And that was a lot of fun. So we've been in and out of contact with Sarah ever since. So we're going to bring her down for the show. It's going to be amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about your tattoos.
Alrighty.
And your long beard. So, I mean, you're a cool guy, man. That's what I'm going to say, Dawg. You're a cool guy. A lot of people would say, "Yo, call me Dawg." And I'd be like, I don't. And I think a lot of people would be like, "I don't think so." But when they see you, they're like, you're the dog.
Yeah.
You're the dog. So tell me about the beard. Is it long time that you've had this beard?
It's been, I think, been growing it out for about 2.5 years now.
Man, I've been growing my beard out for like 10 years, I think, but it just gets scragglier and, it doesn't do what yours does.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's beard's different, right? But funny thing, I kind of posted a while back about trimming it. My goal was to get to the point where you can't read T-shirts that I'm wearing. And I think I've succeeded. So you can't really tell what's on the T-shirts because the beard comes down that. So I joked about cutting it, and the poll was 50-50 on whether I should or shouldn't. I have some friends, old friends that know me when I didn't have a beard, who want me to go back to that. And then Gus reminded me that I'm contractually obligated to have the beard because of the logo we have for the Dawg and Gus show, right?
I agree with Gus on that.
Yeah, so do I. I didn't even touch it. I kind of trimmed the sides a little bit. I left the length.
That's a good
but
point.
that's the story with the beard.
So when's the first tattoo happen?
Oh, the first tattoo now you're getting personal, Baba Wawa.
Oh, okay.
No.
If it's too much, we don't have to tell the children.
No, we joked about this outside before. I was 33.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I just separated from my wife, and we were going up to a ball tournament in Niagara Falls for provincials, for slow pitch. And it wasn't a good time. And we'd had a lot of arguments. I'd always wanted to get tattoos. We always couldn't afford it for whatever reason.
I can't afford it now.
Yeah, no, I can't either anymore. But so anyway, that was a big bone of contention for the two of us. So anyway, we separated, for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into that. Mm-hmm. So we're up in Niagara Falls, and we're all sitting around the hotel drinking. And there the guys, "What do you want to do?" And I looked at one of my buddies and said, "I'm going to go get a tattoo." Mm-hmm. So I walked down to the main drag in Niagara Falls, found a tattoo shop, went in, told the guy what I wanted, and got it done. And my ex-wife, she showed up with another guy, but that's another story. And so she's like, "I heard you got a tattoo." And I said, "Yeah, I did." "Well, how much did it cost?" And I looked at her and I said, "Well, that's really none of your business."
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how the first tattoo came about. And then, as most people will tell you, that's it. You're done. You're hooked. you know, some people can stop at 2. I know a few people. I'm not one of them.
Yep.
So I kind of went from this one, which is now covered. I covered it up. But I've got a guy here in Ottawa, Greg Belanger, at Sugar Skull Studios, and he's my buddy. I've been going to him for almost 30 years. And he's done all of them except for the first one, this one, and another one that he actually touched up.
Well, all of them have very beautiful color and like depth of color, which means you can take the pain. I believe that's one of the things I think.
Yeah.
But like mine, I can't really take the pain. It's a microphone and it needs to be badly touched up. But I mean, I couldn't take the pain like that. And I think I got mine maybe when I was 33 too.
Yeah.
Or maybe a year or two younger. And again, I was with an ex-girlfriend and I took her and her friend to get tattoos done. And then they were like, well, we paid for you to get one too. And I was like, oh, well, I made it to like 30, whatever. I never planned on it. Like at this point, I was like, I thought, no. And I would get another tattoo, but again, I have to find the money. And as an artist, it's hard to do. It's hard to find it, I find.
They're not cheap, and you got to be, like, I got mine all back when I had money. So now it's kind of like, do I have enough? People seem to think so. I disagree, but most people that have lots of tattoos, and a lot of them will agree with me, is when you look at them and go, you're covered. No, I'm not. I'm covered for where you can see, but there's parts that are not covered that I'd love to have covered. And I've had this discussion with a lot of friends who have tattoos. But unfortunately, since I had a heart attack almost 2 years ago.
I did not know that.
Yes, sir. Right when we first started the podcast in October. We started in April or May, and I had a heart attack that October.
That was your first heart attack?
Yeah, I think, I'm good for heart attacks now. I'll just have the one.
Yeah.
So I'm on blood thinners now, and I have a stent in one of my arteries. So I can't really, if I have a tattoo now, I'm going to bleed everywhere. So the only way to get one would be to come off the blood thinners. But that's, do I want to die? I don't think so. Gus can't replace me yet. He has to wait till his daughters grow up a little bit more.
It's not worth it. I mean, you have the beautiful art on you.
Yep.
You've got quite a bit of it, and it looks amazing.
My buddy, Greg, his wife has tattoos as well, right? And she's always been upset with me because my color has stayed. Like some of these are 10 years old. And the color is still vibrant, right? And hers is faded. And she's like, well, why does his stay and mine doesn't? And Greg wanted to say, because you don't take care of yours. But he couldn't say that to his wife. So he's like, well, whatever. Some people take the color better, blah, blah, blah. And
is it hand cream that you put on it, or?
Greg would, I used, Weber's. The Weber's cream, they have a special, it's not a cream, it's more like a gel.
Okay.
And I used to put that on them all the time when you get a new one. But always follow your the aftercare. Always
instructions.
No swimming for a couple of weeks. Stay out of direct sunlight. All that kind of. I'm not a sun person, so it works for me because I don't care to be out in the sun too much.
Okay, so what bands are your favorite bands? Without getting into, or what musical artists are your favorite artists? And they're not indie, they're not local.
Oh, okay. Well, I can go on and on and on and on, but we've already talked about April Wine being my favorite band.
Yep.
Right now, I'm a big, as we've talked about on our show, I'm a big 80s guy. So one of my favorite bands from the 80s is The Fix, band out of England. They're amazing. I've loved them forever. And everybody's like, well, yeah, one thing leads to another. I said, yeah, well, they've got about 80 other songs that are just as good. You know what I mean? And that drives me when somebody said, oh, that one song. Or like Steve Earle, right? Love Steve Earle. Big fan. I'm really hooked on this new guy, and his name is Zach Top, and he's a country music guy. And he's got a 90s feel to his music, and it's incredible. I think I'm single-handedly keeping his Spotify account up and running because I keep listening to the album every day.
I've got a few of those people. I'm grateful for them.
Yes.
So.
That's I just kind of like, because I'll see a meme, I'm like, I got to go listen to that song now and go play the whole album and come back. And then, so that. yeah, it can go. I can go on and on and on.
So the Fix, April Wine, the 80s. All right.
Oh wow, this whole arm and leg are actually dedicated to music. Like all the tattoos on this arm and on this leg are all basically album covers.
Sweet.
Yeah, so people kind of, there's the Beatles, there's Merle Haggard, there's the Monks, there's Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Split Enz, Johnny Cash, Pat Benatar, the Eagles, Zach Brown Band down here, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell.
Yes. One of my favorites.
So it goes on, and then this is more kind of like more my spiritual side. So a tattoo for my buddy Mike, who passed away, and then ALS is what he died of. So I worked with the ALS Society for 20 years volunteering when he was diagnosed, and then after he passed away, I continued on for years. Autism, because I work with people with autism. That's my job. Yeah, so that's kind of like my spiritual side of my body.
Man, that's really, really cool. Like, I've heard stories about tattoos before, but that's sweet. Like, the music and the spirit, that's very cool. I also had a friend who was named Michael who passed away, and, dear friends, and time just swims past us without us realizing, and there's so much we take for granted. Love your friends. Support your friends. And your family. Gosh, time is just the best thing we have with each other.
So make the best of it.
Yes.
Is what we're trying to say here.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, he's not very good at talking. He's more better at better at singing.
Sometimes I bumble my words around. Yeah. So what's next for Doug and Gus? Just continuing down the same path?
Well, we spoke a little bit earlier about the promoting. So, like, we might get into that depending on how this one goes. I stress a lot over certain things that Gus doesn't, and he's like head on into it. Like, boom, we're gonna do this. Okay, and then I'm always going, how are we gonna do this? How's this gonna work? How's this gonna go? And I'm just always like, the wheels are always turning. I'm not sleeping because I'm thinking about this stuff, and he's sleeping like a baby because he's just like so much more positive about stuff than I am. I get there, but my route is a little bit more labor intensive than his. Like this beer that we're drinking was all his idea.
There's a picture of them here on the bottom, little dudes.
Yeah, Sound Check was a beer that came out because Gus does not give up on things. He cold called 15, 20 microbreweries in the city. Hey guys, what do you think about doing this?
Been there.
Yeah, what do you think about this? And he kept going back until to the boys from Big Rig finally said, yeah, we can do that. And then a few months went by and we hadn't heard from him, so he's emailing them, he's texting them, and it finally came about where Soundcheck is the name of the beer. It was going to be called Roadie, but apparently we couldn't call it Roadie for some reason. I guess.
Why not?
I guess drinking beer and roadie doesn't mix well together.
I think it's fine.
But Soundcheck is a great name for a beer. It's non-alcoholic because both Dawg and Gus do not drink.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't drink for my reasons, and Gus has his.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the sales of the beer and the show that we're doing will go to the Ottawa Food Bank.
Have you always been this mature and wise, or is that something that you gained in your 30s and your 40s? What I'm gonna say that you're probably 45.
Oh my God, I love you. No, I'll be 60 in 15 days.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers to that, my friend.
No, I think it comes with age. Like I've done some pretty stupid things, and I've lived to tell about them. And, you grow, you mature sometimes.
Yeah.
And then there's some days where I'm the stupidest person I know.
Yeah.
And then some days I'm so serious that it just scares me. But for the most part, working with Gus, because him and I are symbiont. Like he feeds off of me. I kind of.
You guys are like brothers now. It sounds almost like.
We're at that point, right, where we can. He's got his strengths, and his strengths kind of balance my weaknesses, and my strengths balance his. and it's a good fit.
I'm going to tell you that maybe you're not in a musical band, but by being with Gus, you are experiencing kind of that creative partnership that can happen. And that's exactly what a band is trying to accomplish. It's trying to find people to balance things out and find all the points you need to hit on. And so were you ever in a band? Was Gus ever in a band?
Gus, he plays guitar and he fiddles around and stuff. I've never been in a band. I was in a choir back when I was like 13.
That's cool.
Just did it for the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did we join bands? To do it for the girls.
Yeah.
No, but my problem was when I was singing, because you'd have like 15, 20 people. If they put me next to the sopranos, I would sing soprano. If you put me next to the altos, I would sing alto. I would just follow what I was hearing, and that's what I would sing. So Gus gets a good kick out of me when we're going on road trips and stuff. And if I'm singing to something that's he's playing on the radio, if the person's singing higher, I will sing that way. If they're singing lower, I'll sing that way. But it's funny. But I don't
So
sing,
you're the alto.
yeah, I don't sing well.
That's what I am too.
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating though, because some songs they're just out of my range. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And some are just too low out of my range.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Yeah.
I'm like you in that regard.
Yeah, it's fun. But he dabbles. He dabbles a little bit. I've never had the I might have ADHD. It's never been diagnosed.
Same.
But I just don't stay on one thing. I could never learn how to play guitar because I don't have the patience for it.
I've tried, and I'm not. Oh, no, I'll never get past like novice whatever level because my hands are so dang tiny, and all my guitar playing friends, they've got these long spider-like hands that can scale things.
Those big jerks.
And they're smarter than me. I'm just gonna go out and say it. Like my guitar friends, I think they're just smarter than me. You know?
Yeah,
like
whatever. It's amazing, like the talent that's involved and the time they've done. Like looking at Cliff play, I'm just like, I'm dumbfounded watching him play or watching any musician play their instrument or sing, and I'm kind of like, I wish I could do that.
There is some kind of natural connection, I think, that most musicians feel with their major instrument, and then there are the freaks of nature, like the Paul McCartneys who just play everything, and there's all kinds of interesting voices, and I remember learning like that Axl Rose had 6 or 7 singing voices, which he displayed with Guns N' Roses. Like you can kind of pick them out in song to song, and they're different characters.
Yeah.
And for me, if I can achieve 1.5 characters, I'm super excited. I'm like, yes, I carried it through the whole way.
Yes.
But he was able to kind of shift gears between them. And there's so many special, talented people. But even in Ottawa, and people who aren't getting out, they're missing out.
Oh, absolutely. And in that vein that you're talking about, Alana Sterling.
Yes.
An amazing range. They can sing anything.
Absolutely.
With Complacent on her own, like her new, sorry, I don't want to say her, their new album is amazing. Like it's all like very ballad type stuff, but the range that Alana has is incredible.
Yes. I've heard them in the past, and it continues on to be like consistent. There's certain artists who are just, you consistently hear about them year after year doing very cool things. Yeah. And they are one of those people. And yes, absolutely. Who else has impressed you recently out of your interviews?
Rebecca Noel.
Rebecca Noel. Okay.
I mean, she's in the Peptide. She's in the Commotion. She does her own stuff. She's now been doing a few songs with Michaela Laxton, who's an Aussie transplant, who's an amazing human being and talented through the roof. I can't wait to hear that stuff with them. Mikhail himself is putting out some amazing stuff. Dallas Alexander is just pumping out the amazing. Oh man, I can't get enough of his stuff. He's just fantastic.
You have legitimately become an expert on this scene, and I think that's so needed and so awesome. And you are I can tell you you're appreciated. I can tell you that you are. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And the people you're shouting out appreciate you too. It's a real work of love. Being an artist, it's a work of love. And man, it's rewarding when one person connects with you genuinely. You know?
I get a lot of that because we do, if nobody knows, well, some people will know, we also do a radio show, Gus and I, on Whitewater Rocks Radio. That's Mike Graham out of Pembroke. And we do a 90s show every Tuesday because that's Gus's jam, right? So we put together 2 hours of 90s music, and we kind of, some grunge, hip hop, this and that. We haven't thrown any country in yet because he doesn't really want to. I'd love to, because I could play 5, 6, 10 hours of that. And then I have a show on Wednesdays where it's all indie. It's all indie. I call it the Kitchen Eclectic because we can go from Rebecca Noel to Taming Sorry to like Rock and Engine. And that's what I play in my 2-hour show. I try to get as many local artists in there as I can. So I'm always on the hunt on social media to see, okay, who's put a new single out? Okay, can I play that? I've actually had the boys from Winter give me a song ahead of when it was supposed to come out. And same with Rohan. Rohan gave me their latest single to play before it actually came out on Spotify.
That's so cool. They make, well, I'll tell you, from an artist's perspective, you kind of build this list. You start building these people that believe in you. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're saying, you send the song to these people first, and you trust them. You know they're not going to leak it. No. You know they're not going to do anything. They're just going to wait. And one of the people I'm going to talk to soon is Chris Gaines, who does the Barn Burner
events. I know Chris.
And I'll send Chris our tracks always, because going back years when he had us on the Amherst radio program that he did, we sent him the tracks, and he was so supportive that I still do, and happily so. But yeah, you build that list of people that believe in you, that like each of them are worth 10 people easily, on your team, just because of the passion.
Chris is good people.
Is there anything that surprised you about the music scene or about the bands?
Well, when we first started, I'm in awe of what you guys do. Because I can't physically or whatever, I can't do it myself. So you guys are amazing to me. Every one of you, every person we've ever met, every person we've ever talked to, I'm just kind of I'm afraid to if we were in a bar and I didn't know you, I would not approach you. I'm that's me. I'm an introverted person to begin with. I know you now. But if I saw a set with Taming Sorry and I wanted to go up and tell you that you did a great job and what a great set, I wouldn't. But I'm just so in awe and just I don't know. It's just something but Gus is Dave, they're just people.
Damn straight.
And I'm like, okay, you can convince me of that. So when we had a few people on, when we had Matt Saab from Monkey Junk on.
Yes.
One of my favorite bands here in Ottawa, even before, this is 15 years, I've loved Monkey Junk. Mm-hmm. I was so nervous to have Matt on, but we know each other through my brothers who know Matt through other avenues. Anyway, Matt came on. He couldn't have been more gracious or more supportive. He was amazing. This man knows his music. He is a true music aficionado, and we had a great chat.
Yes.
And then a couple others that kind of broke the ice for me. And I just realized, hey, this is amazing. And now I'm not as reticent to go up and talk to somebody after a show.
Good.
Gus will still do it more than I will.
Yeah, yeah.
But
and which Saab brother was it again?
Matt.
Not
Marty. Yeah.
There are the brothers, and there was, I believe, one who taught at Raven and was in Autumn's Canon. That was years ago.
Yes, I think that was Marty.
Yeah.
And he was in it with Nick Beaton.
Yes, that was really cool. I remember being in that Big Money shot all those years ago. And again, if you're an artist and you are starting and you're having troubles, don't stop, don't give up, and don't get disheartened, because it's not easy.
No.
But nothing worthwhile is. And if you keep believing, you'll inch forward. You'll get to things. Like when I was in Taming Sorry, when I found them when I was 31, I remember saying to them, we're going to do the things that we set out to do. We're going to set goals, and it's not about just a dream. We're setting goals. Mm-hmm. And I think when you do that and you work as a team, man, anything can happen. Anything can happen when you start working as a team and you set goals and then you keep moving it. Keep moving the goalpost back a little bit.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think both of us would just encourage all the young artists, old artists, I don't care, don't give up and go for it. Also, don't worry when people are mean.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Gosh, when I got off stage for CTC after doing the Sens game, I had at least 10 very mean comments that they hurt. They sting.
Yeah,
it's like, ow, ow.
Wow, you're a bully.
At the end of it, you end up just saying, whatever. They're people and they're allowed to feel that way. And that's the thing about art. Art can make people feel like, it's not for me.
Yeah, it's subjective, right? Like it's like you say, like Tammy, sorry. Yeah, love that band. I'm out there promoting. I'm out there as much as I can be to bands. And like some of Brad's stuff is heavier. And I'm appreciative. I'm not going to listen to it every day, but I'm appreciating the art. And I will be there to support them in any way I can. It doesn't matter who they are. Ottawa-based, we're going to support as much as we can every time. I'll talk about, music to people and talk their ears off. And it's hard to get them away from the mainstream stuff, right? Like from the Taylor Swifts and the whomever to say, well, why don't you just check out this local band?
Yeah. It's very hard.
It's tough, man. And you guys like all the time that you guys are, you're working on new stuff, you're writing songs, you're jamming, you're perfecting your craft. People don't get that. And the one thing that we've always talked about, and I know we talk about it a lot, is we're collectors. I collect. I have albums like yourself. I have CDs. So we want that hard copy, but we don't put it into our heads how much it costs you to get that hard copy out.
Yeah, the hard copy thing, it just depends. You want to put out quality. And so to do that today, it is kind of rather expensive. We still have, quite a few of our vinyls left that we invested in. And, I think we only got 200 of them or something like that. And we still have a good number left. But I'm proud of each one that we have sold. And CDs too, proud of each one. And you just take pride in having people knowing that somebody's going to listen and connect with you. Sometimes it's awkward. I've had people come up to me and say, me and my girlfriend had sex to this song. And now your voice is stuck in my head.
Oh no.
Like, okay, that's wrong. And I don't want to be
here thanks
anymore.
Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah. And Blues Fest, I got a guy came up and he was like, sign my girlfriend's boob. And
that's when you know you've made it.
I felt like it for about being there at that Blues Fest table signing autographs. That was the feeling of making it, because people were excited and there was people everywhere. And I do think that's a big part of the dream for me is connecting with as many people as possible.
We talk about that when we talk about goals for bands local here in Ottawa. That's the one that's almost the pinnacle for Ottawa-based bands is to make it onto a Blues Fest stage, right?
It is. It was for us. I didn't believe it when we got the news. I did not believe it. And Blues Fest is going on again tonight.
Yes, sir.
It was Nickelback last night.
Tonight it's 50
Cent tonight.
50 Cent.
Oh, that's gonna be good. That's from my grade 7-8 time. So all the kids, we were wearing baggy jeans, very very baggy. And if you wore it down past your bum and showed your bum crack, that was, the ladies, they liked that for some reason. But Eminem arrived shortly after, and he just sort of rocked the whole world as to what I was listening to. The Ja Rule and all that stuff at that time. My mom was my music influence until Napster. And LimeWire
oh my God.
arrived when I was 13 or 14 years old. We did not know that we were ruining the world.
Yeah.
We didn't know that we were ruining music. I'm just going to tell you this. And honestly, we were selfish kids. So, but my music knowledge grew vastly, like super fast because of that.
Yeah. They say the age when you start to when it starts to imprint on you is 13 to 15, where your musical taste, when those will carry you for the rest of your years. Like I'm almost 60 and I'm still listening to stuff I listened to when I was 13.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm also learning a lot of new stuff, and man, it's coming to you at a very fast pace. And I'm struggling. I tell Gus, I say, man, I'm struggling to keep up with all the new stuff that's coming up by all the folks that we've talked to. It's like, oh, so and so's back in the studio, great. So and so's back, and like, I'm very excited to hear the new stuff from everybody we know, especially for my radio show, because if they only have a couple of songs, I can't. Like, it's like, guys, I need some more. I need more of your stuff. But you know, you can't push that because it does cost money to go in there and record, and it's a process to make it the way you want it to be. Because I mean, the boys from Evil Creek are recording right now.
Yes, they are.
You know,
Cliff talked about how they're kind of doing it their way this time, and that's interesting because it's a decision that every band has to make: is how much outside influence they want, how much criticism they're willing to take or handle. For me, I really wanted the experience of my heroes. I really wanted to know what it felt like to be pushed, because I've competed at other things at pretty good levels, and it was the same story. Getting pushed can take you to another level. So I encourage it. I encourage people to find a producer that believes in you, that believes in your voice, because they're going to need to believe in your singer. And that genre that they're going to hook to, and then let them push you and let it hurt. Down with the Devil, which was our first song that kind of got people saying, hey, that's a good song. The lyrics, our producer ripped them up. You know, he said, those are not good lyrics. Go sit down and write new ones. You have half an hour. And I did. And that's what Down with the Devil is. Okay. You know, so I do believe that there is something to the creative process in letting people push you to the next level. But if you're Evil Creek and you're that experienced and you've been around and you've done it, I totally understand.
Yeah. They're a very talented band, and they should be, and I say this about a lot of bands, like I can't wrap my head around the fact that some of these bands are not bigger than they are. Like, you know, I could name off like 10 or 15 bands in this city I figure should be a lot bigger than they are. And I just don't understand why not. Part
of it, I believe, is radio being the shell of what it was. Mm-hmm. Which is really too bad because, you know, you don't have the people listening to the college and the university radios like they used to. You don't have people listening to regular radio like you used to. And they're just clinging to, well, I saw it happen with Rebel. Taming Sorry was on Rebel for 4 years. And awesome. I'm eternally grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Such a wonderful experience. And I wish every artist could feel it. Yep. To turn on their car radio and all of a sudden hear their song. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. But even they had to succumb to the pressures of today's world, which is so expensive. And they have to please advertisers. And that's number one.
Well, it is a business, right? And
that's
people
correct.
need to keep in mind that radio, like the radio stations like Shea and like Rebel and all, they're a business.
Yes.
And if they're in, you know, if they're not making money, then decisions have to be made. And unfortunately, the indie scene is not going to help. Like it really should. There should be a radio station out there that just, you know, promotes the bands in every city that they're in. Or, you know, not 100%. Okay, let's play, you know, 10% of the bands that come out of this city. You know, even that.
Let people go hard for it.
Yeah.
And you'll get cream of the crop is what you always want.
Yeah.
Right? And people get better that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's not easy. But that's the way it is.
You know, Taming Sorry got on Rebel. Hell, we can do that. And
yes.
boom.
Yes.
And boom, away you go.
That's exactly correct. Mm-hmm. You have to take that inspiration and go for it.
Yeah. And it needs to come back. We've talked about that on our podcast about radio.
Yes.
And how it's kind of declining. I honestly do not listen to the radio. I turn on my vehicle, and the minute the radio comes on, I'm putting it onto the auxiliary to listen to something that I've put together, or something like, you guys or whomever. But I'm not listening to the radio because I find a lot of these, I just don't want to listen to them.
Yeah. It's like I was saying that it's so commercialized now that they have these packages of songs that are acceptable songs. And we've heard them 150, 60 times already. So that I think that's the issue. And so it's kind of killing itself slowly.
Very slowly, yeah.
And then you have so much competition on the internet.
Yeah,
it's about collaboration. I mean, look, you came on today. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much, Dawg, for coming on and helping this show get a start. You're episode number 2.
Yes.
It's so awesome to have gotten to know you a little bit better today. What else are you passionate beyond music? What else is the Dawg into?
That's it.
Just the music?
Yeah. I don't really have any more.
Like you said, you work for autism.
Yeah, I work at a school. I work with individuals with special needs. I've been doing that for 25 years.
That takes a special type of person. So thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's I kind of go, oh God, I wish I could do something else. I've also worked in the restaurant industry for 30 plus years.
I have a friend who does a job similar to yours, and they've had the similar reaction that it's very trying, but you need to be patient.
Yeah. You have good days, you have bad days, and like if you're getting into it, to have somebody say, "Hey, thank you for helping me with this today," then get out.
Yes,
because that's not going to happen a lot, but you will see. Like I work with this young man for the last 2 years, and he's on a behavioral program which I have to follow, and I've been trained how to do that. And you see big steps, but you also see like the micro steps that he's making. That like if you look back 2 years ago, it's like, oh my God, this kid was horrible. And this kid is still working on himself, but so much better. And it's like, well, you're doing a great job. I said, well, thank him. Don't thank me. I'm just doing what I'm trying to do, just trying to give him an avenue to follow. And he's doing his own, he's doing the work. I'm not doing the work. And it's amazing to see because people go, oh, he's such a, I said, no. 2 years ago, this kid would have flipped a table if you had asked him to sit down to do this. Now, he's sitting down and doing it. It's not for very long right now, but we're working on it. You know what I mean? So you see those little plateaus that you get to, and it makes it worth it at the end of the day, for sure.
That's so cool. You're a very, very cool guy. You know that, Dawg? And I hope people, all the bands, anyone, give him some love. Give Dawg and Gus a subscription. Subscribe. Do it for this channel too.
Yes, sir.
Leave comments on videos. Do little things. Leave a comment on Facebook. But support the Dawg and Gus podcast because they're both really good guys. I support them very much, and I'm so thankful for Dawg coming on today. Thankful for you tuning in. We've had so much fun here on All Worn Out, and I hope we see you next time. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.